And it's Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business and the Marketing Club of New York. Got a gala dinner coming up on November 7th in New York City, the Silver Apples Awards Gala. It's the 40th year. Have a chance to talk to a good friend and one of the honorees this year, and that is William McGowan from Acxiom. Uh, Bill, good to see you. Congratulations on this award. It's very well deserved.
Thank you for having me, and it is an honor. Thank you.
Well, Bill, tell us a little bit about what you do at Axiom as part of Interpublic, and your organization, obviously a leader in the data management business segmentation. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Axiom.
Sure. Today, I'm responsible for the retail sector. I have a book of business with clients, and we are responsible for the management and liberation identity, anything to do with allowing their data to make its way into all of the systems that allow for each one of the marketing divisions to execute campaigns and any type of engagement strategies, perfecting their data, system of identity, all of those things that make the foundational record of what their customers need to be and are for. We do that on a daily basis.
And on your company bio, it talks a little bit about being human centered in how you approach data. Tell us a little bit about that concept.
Sure. Um, our philosophy, I think, is very much about accuracy and making sure that we're treating the individual that we are all working towards with our clients here at Axiom as an individual that has rights towards accessing their data, should be treated with the most accuracy so that you're having the best engagement with them. We want to make sure that they have the best experience and journey with our clients. So understanding where they are at every point in their to identify them, enriching them with accurate data. This is all improving who that individual can be with the companies that we work with. So making that individual more front and center and centric to how we do our business is the way that we've, I think, perfected how we look at how we work with our clients.
Very good. Are there any particular industries or market segments that you've focused on?
Currently, I'm working on the retail sector, which is very difficult, only because of the pure play drivers like your Amazon, your Walmarts, those types of things. In the past, I've worked with pretty much every sector that was out there, from nonprofit to financial services to automotive, everything in between, including resellers such as brokers and also resellers in general.
Very good. Now, you've worked at some very well-known companies in the data field, Red Eye, Epsilon, a true leader, Equifax, RL Polk, a name that used to be one of the leaders in the data and the list business, Mal Dunn and Associates, um, Unimail, and List Services, a company I used to know a lot of people at. Tell us a little bit about what have been some of the steps, what did you learn along your career that's helped you?
Sure. So this was not a career that I headed out in. My degree is in architecture and construction. Uh, when I was in between projects in the 90s, I was asked to interview at a job that somebody was at my parents' barbecue, and I went and interviewed, and I was ended up working at List Services. I worked on American Family Handyman, Weeder Publications, and Gruner and Yar. And that really launched kind of where I am today. It was, I think at the time, my intent was only a couple of months. I was in between projects and really wanted to get back into the career that I started, but I really enjoyed what I was doing, and it was, there were great people in there. Everybody was working towards, creative ways of marketing towards individuals. It was just direct mail for me at the time, but it was at a real, I think, golden age of what we are at today. Back then, it was a little looser with laws and legislations and how we got things done, but it was interesting to see what was and where we are today and that evolution. And so that was list services. I went to Unimail, which was just kind of get to the brokerage side. So when you think about somebody that is an agent of an end user to acquire lists, that was something of interest. Worked there for a short period. Then I worked for Mel Dunn and Associates for Joanne Dunn, who's also a Silver Award winner as well as a president. Um, Amazing woman. She's somebody that I would definitely see as a mentor. Um, she was able to, I think, teach me a lot while I was there. So it was awesome to be at Mel Dunn. Bob Castle, who was running Unimail, was a consultant for R.L. Polk, and they were opening a new office in the Northeast. And he said, "I'd like you to go on this interview." And I says, I'm kind of happy with where I'm at." He goes, "Just do me a favor, go on the interview." So I went on the interview, and I really liked what they had to say and the way that it was set up, and it was a completely different territory of selling data and managing data. So I ended up taking it, and it was an excellent career move. I really enjoyed working for Polk, which then became Equifax during the acquisition. That was my path, I think, to ICOM, which was more survey data because I was at the Lifestyle Selector with Polk and Equifax. Went over to America's Choice, I think was the survey at ICOM at the time. And then that rolled into Epsilon. And with Epsilon, I learned more about how to manage customer data, how to be the system of recognition, how to liberate the data to the systems that needed to look at it, understanding the anomalies, advising the client and coaching them. That then led me to moving into, I wanted to get into a little more digital because we're getting very much into the digital age at this point. So I went over to Red Eye and eWay just to kind of learn about what they were doing. Both of those were retargeting, tagging, social listening. And then once I kind of completed 3 years doing that, the Acxiom job opened up, and I've been very happy here since 2013. So.
And Bill, you've been a big help on the board of the Marketing Club of New York, on our programming committee. And one of your programs for a number of years has been a fall privacy event, where we've had leaders talk about the issues in customer data, what the government is doing, what the European Union is doing, and we always seem to have to figure out what does the state of California doing because they seem to set
Yes.
a lot of precedents. How did you enjoy that, and what did you learn? What are some of the key priorities in the privacy field?
Sure. Well, it started really, I think, with Axiom. It's something that we build everything on, we contract with it, we review with it. So when we work with a brand new client and we have a that we're working on, it has to go through a privacy assessment to ensure that it follows all current legislations as well as legislations that are forthcoming that are on the horizon. That keeps us honest with what we're building and working towards and able to contract without having any issues with ourselves or the clients, keeping us out of the headlines. And then we do this on an annual basis for everything that's coming on to make sure that all of the solutions that we are working on are not impacted by new legislations. And if they are, we make certain adjustments. This seemed to be something that not many clients that I was working with were familiar with. And that led me to believe that there were probably others out there that were, I think, just building things and not really taking legislation into consideration. If they knew about it, great. If the lawyers picked it up, great. So what I wanted to do is leverage Sheila Colclasure, who was at our company and also a Silver Award winner. I thought maybe we could work with her and her privacy team to start coming up with some of the topics that would make sense to educate and make the industry aware of what's happening and how to be a little more cognizant of the legislations that are on play right now, the ones that are forthcoming, and things that you need to be aware of, things that are devastating. Where, I mean, we've seen people in our industry that are currently in jail because of things that they were arrested for,
Hmm.
that it was just not considered during that process and practice. And this was a client, a vendor, a list manager, and it went all the way down to the person that had the client relationship. And when you think about that, that was something that was really scary. And I mean, we're all just trying to do our jobs and doing a great job at it. But this is where we thought, hey, this might be something for us to put out in the industry. And it worked out to be really well. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. We had a good time letting everybody know about what the laws were, what had just been passed. I think the eye-opening pieces about that session were all of the fines that you and your company and the laws that are in place and what you could potentially lose. And this is like financial ruin for you and your company. So it just was, it seemed like a really good practice and one that I'm glad the club embraced and we were able to do. And I think we had great turnouts for them.
Well, so important, uh, uh, valuing customer privacy and studying to do what is the right thing, and then understanding what regulators will say is the right
Yeah.
thing. And you have, we have to look at the European Union, the United States, other areas, and then of course what states are doing. So it's a complex field, and you have brought a lot of valuable perspective uh, to the privacy field through your efforts to the Marketing Club of New York. I got to ask, I love talking to people who have been through a lot in their careers. How did you manage the new technology that's come about in the last 25 years, from internet, just, email? I remember when email was new.
Yes,
And
I
then
do too.
mobile, and then we're way beyond database marketing. What have been
Yeah.
some of the notable technology implementations that you saw that changed how you did your job?
So I was actually at a company, List Services, when they launched email in the company, and I didn't have it personally. I didn't have AOL at home. I never really used it. And when they turned that on, it was one of the strangest things because we were emailing each other and we were within sight of each other. And we just found it fascinating that we were sending an email to somebody and we could watch them open it up. I know it sounds trivial today, but back in the day, it was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is amazing. And then you could see them read it and then they'd look up and they'd look over at you. It just was a technology that we didn't have. And when you think about where that is and where we started and to where we are today, we have leaps and bounds have just gone through amazing growth, and it seems to be just amplifying. Each year is completely different than the last. Um, I was mentioning earlier, some of the technology that we have today is where you can actually target individuals that are in a specific geofence where they have traversed a barrier, and you can actually target them. So if you are a client that is interested in targeting individuals that are in your store that haven't purchased anything, or maybe they use their EMV chip or mobile pay that masked who they were, there's a technology out there where you can actually look at the location data of who was in your store and target them digitally. So you can do banner ads, social, search. To think of something like that from some of us who have, started on not knowing what email was, you had to walk over with notes. It really is just sort of just cutting edge. You think about how cars today have evolved. Within the vehicle itself is a computer that is communicating constantly, recognizing where you're going, what you're doing. It is radiating data of what you are doing and about. It's got a black box. It knows what navigation areas you've traversed, whether you've put a destination in or not, the speed at which you're traveling, where that car is parked, charged, gassed. All of those things are, something that back in the day we just had a lot of analog vehicles that weren't true, communicating constantly. So these are just things that are just off the charts, just evolving as we go on. So um, then you think about where we're headed with, deliveries that are sent by drones. I mean, this is the next communication of, Was the package received? Did the person open it? Was the review given to the drone? These are things that are eventually going to be on the horizon of things that we'll have to solve for. And, what does that communication strategy look like? So somebody's just received their package. They've given 5 stars to the drone. The drone heads off into the sky. How does that company now engage back with that individual? Do they text them? Do they say, hey, tell your friends about this experience and get $5 off your next purchase? All of these things are waiting for us to embrace and I think take on.
Well, it is amazing what barcoding does and what the delivery drivers do. They can take a
Yep.
picture of the item on your doorstep when they deliver it. It is amazing how far technology has developed in our careers. And Bill, we talked a little bit about the privacy seminars you've run, put together for the Marketing Club of New York. You should be very proud of that. Is there anything else in your career that stands out that you're very proud of working on?
I do volunteer time with the Boyd Initiative, which we worked with a gentleman that started the foundation, and he was interested in bringing more African American students into marketing, and he had set up a um, self-registering where the students could register for this service and they would link a recently graduated student with somebody that's in the industry. So I helped a couple of students get into careers that they wanted to get into. One in particular is a gentleman that wanted to get into sports marketing. And I helped him get onto the Cincinnati Reds, and now he's in the Nashville Wolverines, I think it is. I think it's the
Okay.
Wolverines. And he just absolutely loves it. So I still keep in contact with him. I've helped a couple of others just get into careers, and some are very immersed in it. Some are just like, hey, I need a little help with my resume, and that's about it. But it's a great project to help these students kind of get off the ground. Had it for when I got out of school because there's so much unknown that you can really benefit from somebody that's in the industry.
So valuable how you've volunteered your time on that the Boyd Initiative. You're also very active as a volunteer on the Edge Awards uh, committee. What was that like for you?
I also like that. It's unfortunate that they were impacted by COVID and they're no longer an organization that you can donate to. But the objective there was to raise funds for students to be able to go to school in our field of marketing to help and counsel and coach them through that experience, help them find internships and then eventual employment. And the life cycle of those people going through the project were also meant to have them, come back and give back. And that was something um, that I really just loved about the organization. So I donated my time looking for sponsors, attendees, promoting it, and it was great. I hated to see it be a casualty of COVID, but unfortunately that was the case.
Well, yeah, that was a great organization, uh, developing students another generation to work in marketing fields. And maybe just a final thought. You mentioned a mentor, Joanne Dunn. Who have been some of the mentors along the way that have really helped you?
Sure. Well, to elaborate a little more on Joanne, I was actually let go, which is a devastating process when you are terminated from employment unexpectedly. But yeah, I was terminated from Unimail, and Joanne was willing to take me in at Maldon and was just couldn't have been more humble and amazing through the entire process. So I will always appreciate. Another individual would be the late Bob Castle. I worked with him at Mail, and Bob was very instrumental, I think, in getting me in more into the corporate sales rather than just the list started out with. He was able to help me, I think, continue on that path and was able to um, helped me get closer to, I think, where I am today. So definitely appreciate that. And then my last one is a boss that I worked with here at Acxiom, Melissa Matheny. Um, just an amazing mentor that was able to help me understand how to do what I'm doing today, training, understanding, knew all the history. There's a lot of awesome individuals, but Melissa was just great at being able to, I think, coach and counsel everybody that worked in and around her. Even to this day, we don't work directly, but she's just an awesome person to bounce ideas off of and get guidance from.
Well, Bill, we are going to look forward to being with you on November 7th in New York City at the Hard Rock Cafe Restaurant, right in Times Square. Really, couldn't be more in the heart of the city for that event. And for the 40th Silver Apples Awards, and you're one of our honorees. So glad you are. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to work with you on the Marketing Club of New York. And um, any final thoughts for us today?
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure also working with you, of course. I, again, very humbled by the honoree, as well as the award. The entire process, I was shocked to even be included. So I'm just very grateful. Thank you.
Well, Bill McGowan, great to see you, and we'll look forward to the Silver Apples Award Gala at the Hard Rock Cafe Restaurant on November 7th in New York City.
Great.
And Bill, great to chat with you today.
Thank you very much, Ken.
A pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business and the Marketing Club of New York. Thanks for watching.